Hi, everybody. Welcome back. It's me, Lucas. This is Eyes Open Dream, a channel dedicated to helping you truly love yourself, your life, and everything in it, and to consciously create the life of your dreams. And I know of no better way to do that than this amazing practice called Dreamwork to remember, learn from, and to follow your dreams literally, and to incorporate a bunch of other tools that I'll share with you over the course of these videos to transform your consciousness and your life to the extent that one way you wake up and you'll realize you're living the life of your dreams. All right, so this particular talk is number 3 in a 12-part series. I'm calling it Categories of Dreams and Why Knowing This Matters. It turns out once we start recording our dreams, and I go into some detail of just how to do that in the first of these videos, video number 1, you end up with a dream journal with a whole bunch of movies that you've written down that for most people don't make a whole lot of sense. And it really helps to have a coach or a teacher or to read a bunch of books to learn about this practice. And there are different lineages. Dzogchen is the main one that I practiced in, a practice called Dream Yoga. It's actually a profound spiritual practice. And it also teaches you a whole bunch of things to transform your consciousness so you can manifest like magic. And there are many other traditions, many teachers out there. I feel so grateful to have found my primary teacher, who I worked with for 6 years. He taught me all this stuff and worked with me through hundreds and hundreds of dreams and helped me transform my consciousness based upon what was showing up in the dreams, transform my life remarkably to the extent that I am literally living the life of my dreams now. So it's my intention to share this work with you for free, give you a good intro to this amazing practice so you can get started on your own. And for people who are going to be working with me directly, they can save a whole bunch of money by learning a bunch of the backgrounder stuff before we start working together one-on-one or along the way without having to pay for my time to go through all of this in every one-on-one session with everyone that I work with. So yeah, let's get started. Categories of dreams. The reason why it's important to have a framework for different categories of dreams is depending on how we look at the dream, it may mean a different thing. There are different, just like in life, there's different perspectives, different points of view that we can look at things. And depending on that perspective, it changes everything. What turns out, this is also true with dreams. And it's often helpful to consider a dream might be this kind of dream. And what might the teaching be for me if I look at it in this way? And if I look at it in another way, maybe that's really what this dream is about. I found it to be super helpful to create a framework for categories of dreams, depending on the tradition that someone follows. Various teachers have different categories, different names for the dreams, but most people create some sort of structure and framework to help guide them in this practice. What I'm sharing here is mine, what I've developed over the years. And without any further ado, I will share my screen here and show you just what I'm talking about. Before that, here's a recap of the different videos that are included in this particular introduction to the Alchemy of Dreamwork series. A pretty comprehensive overview and introduction to this life-changing work. The next video that I'll be doing is going to teach you how to create and work with your dream journal. And as you see, there's a whole bunch of other videos after that. And this is just one particular mini course that I'm making. I'm going to do a bunch of other videos teaching other things of all the things that I've learned in my life. And I've done a whole lot of seeking, traveling all over the world, working with a lot of teachers in different traditions. There's nothing that has taught me as much as following my dreams and learning that language and learning various tools to reprogram the programs and patterning in my subconscious. That part of my mind, the other 95% of mind, which is actually dreaming up what we perceive to be reality on the screen of our waking life. So getting to know this part of ourselves is super, super important. And it's important for a whole lot of reasons. And I'll share more of that in the future. This talk is, as I said, it's all about giving you an introduction to kinds of dreams and one way of categorizing your dreams that you may find useful. So the first category of dreams I call environmental dreams. Interestingly, it happens that, and I realized this as I typed this out, that most people go through a progression in their dream work where most of the dreams they're getting or the kinds of dreams that they're getting sort of follow one after the other in the order that I have written them down here from top to bottom. That doesn't mean that we don't have a mix of the different kinds of dreams. For most people, most of the dreams are the top two on this list for a long time or a fair amount of time until they follow the guidance in those dreams and they do some practices and calm the mind down even more, come into a more calm state in which the other kinds of dreams start opening up while they're in night school every night. Now, that doesn't mean that as one progresses in this work in particular, we only have lucid dreams every night. And it doesn't mean that if, for the most part, people are having symbolic dreams, that's all they have. It's just in general, it's been my experience in thousands of my own dreams and reading and working through hundreds of other people's dreams and working with them for a long period of time. It very often follows this progression. Pretty interesting. So, if you're just getting started with dream work and all you're having are environmental dreams, nothing to fear. It's all going to totally open up if you stick with it. I promise. So, the first kind of dreams are what I call environmental dreams. These are dreams where you are seeing in the dream something that represents what's been in your environment or what is in your environment while you're sleeping. An example of that might be during the day, you went to the grocery store and there were some people in the line arguing with each other. And it felt a bit uncomfortable as you're waiting in line behind them. And then that night, you have this dream where you see these people on a wrestling mat and they're wrestling with each other. They don't look quite like the people in the line at the store, but the feeling is kind of similar. And something about dreams, they seem to amplify what it's representing. So you'll often see, sometimes hilariously amplified, similarities in the dreams or metaphors, symbols in the dreams that are taking what you saw or experienced in your waking life and blowing it up so you really see it. So again, to this example, you may have a dream where and this happened to me actually, where I had this dream after seeing some people arguing in a line at a store. That night I had a dream where people were wrestling with each other on a wrestling mat. And that was it. not particularly profound. This is an example of environmental dreams. It's peeking into what's going on in the subconscious as the subconscious is processing and I believe reharmonizing our consciousness, what we picked up during the day when the mind is still. And when we can awaken within the dream or be conscious in our night school practice, we can see what's going on in that other side of the firewall of the ego. And we can see the processing of the subconscious mind. And these environmental dreams are just that. It's processing stuff, not particularly profound or helpful. And for many people, when they first start in this work, that is the kind of dreams that first open up. And for a lot of people who have just had a few dreams or intermittent dreams, these are the kind of dreams that they have. They're just kind of random. They don't really seem to be very helpful. And so they're not that interested in a dedicated practice of dream work or spending much time on it, which totally makes sense. And it's also true that there's so much more once one learns the language of the dream and starts routinely remembering their dreams and writing them down and learning the language of the dreams and particularly working with a coach or following a particular tradition or teaching. And even in this series, I'm going to give you a pretty good overview of this work so you can be doing it on your own, even without my help. And if you do want to work with me directly for a deeper dive, you can contact me and I'll coach you in this process I call dream informed coaching. So I found as a life coach, it's absolutely amazing to get my clients to start remembering their dreams and recording them and sharing them with me. Then I really see what's going on and they see what's really going on. And we can ramp up the work and get a whole lot more done faster and in a way that leaves them with a practice that they can keep on going without a need for my help anymore. That's the goal, to get people feeling really good and happy, living the life of their dreams as fast as possible. And dream informed coaching and following one's dreams is the fastest way I have found for long-term sustained self-empowered transformation. So besides environmental dreams, there is this main category of dreams, which for most people is what most of the dreams are most of the time. For me, almost all of my dreams for the first couple of years were these symbolic dreams. In fact, even to this day, most of my dreams, and for most people, most of their dreams are symbolic dreams. And by that, I mean that the dreams are showing us a movie of something that happened with characters in the dreams, places, objects, and things in the dreams, and things that happened, which from one point of view, you can see as the movie as it was. And from another point of view, as one learns this language and how dream work works, we see it in a different way. We see that this is actually the subconscious, which is creating symbols and movies. Apparently, in my experience, I feel like it's my soul, some loving part of myself that's intentionally showing me, knowing that I'm tracking my dreams, showing me specific things in a language of metaphor and symbols so that I can see what's going on in my own life and within my own consciousness, often inviting attention and transformation and change. So there are books out there, dream dictionaries. You can even type on the internet, what does water mean in dreams? And you'll get definitions. And there are indeed general archetypical symbols, which amazingly mean the same thing for a whole lot of people. Like water, for example, often means either the subconscious or emotions in a dream. So, for example, if you find yourself on the beach in a dream and you're a little afraid, dive into it. Or maybe you think there are sharks in the water, you notice some hesitancy to go into the ocean. Well, on the surface level, that's what it means. Interesting dream, not so useful. And as you start to learn this language and co create this language of symbolism with your higher self, or I call it my soul, who communicates to me in my dreams, we can create certain, or we can identify certain symbols that are pointing to certain things. So it could be that for one person, the ocean for them and their dream language represents emotion. And it could be for someone else, it represents something else, like the subconscious, or maybe something totally different. And over time, we can lock in, we can program in what symbols mean what. And we can literally have a dialogue with our higher self and our soul and say, from now on, in my future dreams, please use a dog to represent unconditional love, for example. And over time, you can develop your own unique dream language library or dictionary that you can come to really, really trust as this work evolves and builds over time. Certain symbols that keep recurring in your dreams, it becomes obvious. Yes, that's what this means. I'm on a construction site in my dreams. This isn't about a literal construction site. This is about construction happening in my own consciousness. I find myself in a vehicle in my dreams. Well, it's not really the vehicle so much. If I'm driving down a road, I'm out of control, I'm trying to hit the brakes and it won't stop. Well, a vehicle in my dream language represents my forward momentum in life, how I'm moving forward in my life. And if I'm out of control and I can't stop, or someone else is in the vehicle trying to take over control, I might consider who that other person is. It might literally be that person, something about that person in my life, which is having influence that my subconscious is showing me. It might be an energy or feeling within myself that has a similar feeling to what that person reminds me of. And I'm being invited to look at what about that part of me is influencing my forward momentum in life, for example. And there's so much to it. I'm going to create a whole video on how to interpret your dreams. That gives you an idea of the symbolic dreams. And that's most of them, for most people, a lot of the time. And even once we become fluent in lucid dreaming, my teacher taught me, and I found it's helpful to hold back sometimes, not to take over control of the dreams, because there's really important information there. As we learn the metaphorical language of our dreams, and we can see what's going on, and we can use that language of metaphor and what we see on the other side of the firewall of the ego, when the veil is pulled back and we can see deeply into our subconscious. So it's helpful actually to work with the symbolic dreams and resist taking over control too much, too often, and to allow yourself to receive. And one way of receiving in our dreams is what I call direct dreams, direct soul guidance, or direct guidance from the divine. Who knows? These are dreams where it's not a metaphor. It's not a symbolic thing. It's like we might see a sign on the road that says literally stop eating sugar. Or you see yourself buying a ticket to go somewhere on a certain date. These aren't metaphorical dreams. You got to figure out this is direct, absolute divine guidance. Like you can trust it. And as you do more and more of this work, this happens more and more of the time. It's absolutely amazing. You can learn a bunch about what to eat, what to do to be healthy, where to move in your life, and when. And you can receive downloads and information. A lot of inventions have been received this way. The most prolific inventors in the world, like Nikola Tesla, Alexander Graham Bell, Rudolf Steiner. I mean, I could go on and on and on. These people who created amazing things on Earth, Albert Einstein, these were dream workers. They were connecting in their dreams and receiving answers to problems and seeing in direct guidance dreams stuff that they could do and create that would help the world and humanity. And it turns out it's way easier than trying to figure it out with the conscious mind. So that's what direct dreams are. Absolutely off the charts. And there's way more examples of that, but I don't want to go too long in this video. Active imagination and daydreams are totally amazing for conscious manifestation, for reprogramming our consciousness, going back into the dreams that we see, or back into experiences and memories of life, and seeing them and feeling them a different way to transform our consciousness, literally raise our vibration and our frequency so we can manifest easier and faster. Everything that's ever been created began with a thought. And mastering the art of active imagination, and particularly doing that when the mind is really still in a slower brainwave state, either during one's dreams or before or after one is in the sleep state. In the hypnagogic and hypnopompic states, the states where you're just going into and coming out of sleep, the mind is really still and fertile for consciously dreaming up something that later shows up in manifested reality. And the higher our vibration is, it's been my experience, the faster and easier that happens. Very often happens in a way that feels and is like magic. Precognitive dreams, most people know about these. These are dreams where we see stuff that's going to happen before it happens. And it can be pretty remarkable and shocking when it starts happening. And when it starts happening a lot, you find yourself sort of walking between the worlds. Deja vu is one example of this. And sometimes they're pretty deep. Like you can get guidance on when someone is going to die, exactly the date. You can get guidance on the numbers to pick for the lottery. That's happened a bunch of times. People have seen certain events with clarity before they happen. I imagine almost all of you know this, so I won't go too much deeper into that. Lucid dreams. A lot of people have talked about lucid dreams. These aren't just super, super vivid dreams. These are dreams in which we wake up in the dream while we're still sleeping. We notice that we're dreaming and we're aware that we're in the dream state. Sometimes while in that experience, and over time, we learn to consciously navigate in that dream and even to change what shows up in that dream world. And I talked a lot about this, or a bit about this, in the last video on the the alchemy of working with lucid dreams for manifestation. This is an absolutely amazing practice for manifestation. To create a memory of something that happened in a lucid dream that is so real, you feel it in your bones. Something about having a memory of something before it happens, to feel the wish fulfilled, is the secret sauce to magical manifestation. And many people are talking about this, talking about the law of attraction, the law of assumption. And I haven't heard that many people talking about this amazing practice of using your lucid dreams to create a memory that's so real. You know it, you've been there, you felt it. And the feeling is the precursor to the reality in the waking dream, in the waking world of our life. So check out the last video number 2, if you're interested in learning more about using lucid dreams for manifestation. I talked a fair amount about that in the last video in this mini course. Astral travel, ascended master, and spirit interactions. This is something which, and as you'll see, as I mentioned before, these dreams kind of progress as in the order from top to bottom. It's helpful to be lucid and to have developed that skill to be lucid in your dreams. When you find yourself in the astral plane, in the spirit world, you meet different beings there. You find yourself on the master's plane, the ascended master's plane, the angelic plane, the Buddhic plane. You meet different beings and you can talk with them and you can learn a bunch of stuff, receive initiations. This world first opened up for me in ayahuasca ceremonies. It's just absolutely off the charts. And I didn't really know what to do with it at first. I used to just trip out at this world I was in and see these beings and things. And then I found out I could talk with them and I could have a full-on conversation and even have a relationship with some of these beings in this other plane of consciousness, where I consciously go back and I meet with them and we hang out in a cave and sit and talk and kind of become friends and receive all kinds of teachings. Now, from one point of view, it can be said that everything is us. And from another point of view, there are differentiated aspects of consciousness within the soup of reality. And different beings exist on different planes, some of which are on a plane of consciousness that is not this earth plane. And it is absolutely possible to find yourself there in your dreams and to consciously interact with different spirits, people who have passed on, our ancestors, our loved ones from the past who are no longer here in their body. We can communicate with them. All sorts of amazing stuff can happen in this work. And it's helpful to have cultivated a lucid dream practice. So when you find yourself in those different planes of consciousness, you can make best use of it and consciously and fluently interact with who you find there. Multi-person dreams. This is super fun. We can consciously choose to meet someone we know in our, or even we don't know. I think about it. Well, we can make an agreement to meet someone we know in our dreams at night. And when I say make an agreement, I think it's really important in all of this work and in life in general to ask for consent when it's appropriate. So we can ask someone if they want to meet with us in the spirit world or in the dream space. And like, for example, I had the first time this happened for me. There's a friend of mine who lives in Kauai who invited me. I was living in California. She was there in Kauai, and she's an active dream worker. And we agreed to try and meet each other in our dream, consciously meet each other and see if we could corroborate what happened and prove that that was possible. And we absolutely did. The first night I had this dream with her, we talked the next morning, and she asked me what happened. And I told her in the dream, a part of the dream was she had this blue stone in her left hand and she had a red stone in her right hand. And I ended up reaching over and grabbing the blue stone and I put it on her forehead. And I told her that, and it blew her away because that's exactly what she experienced as well. And we did double blind tests and different things to make sure for sure we weren't making this up. And it really is a thing, and it's pretty fun. So multi-person dreams, I have this desire to have 4 or 5 or more conscious dreamers meeting together with a shared intention in the dream space. Who knows what we can dream up if we get a bunch of dreamers on board with a united intention. Maybe we can bring more peace and love and harmony to this planet. Maybe we can create the Garden of Eden, not only for ourselves, but for more and more and more people. Multi-purpose dreams are awesome. Remote viewing is an absolutely amazing experience. There's a bunch of people on YouTube who, not a bunch of people, but a few people who talk about this in detail. I am not a proficient or really experienced remote viewer. It's happened for me a few times by accident, never yet intentionally. The first time it happened was a couple of years ago. I had I all of a sudden I'm flying over the Grand Canyon from a bird's eye view, and then I flew down into it. And it was different, it had a different quality than most of my dreams. And I had never been there before. And it felt and was so real. My experience, the next morning thinking about it was that absolutely wasn't a dream. I was there. Like, how did my consciousness go there to the Grand Canyon and see it? I saw a bunch of parts of the Grand Canyon I've never seen before. And I know that it's actually there, it exists. And then after that, I went to this mall and I was following this lady for some reason. It really, really felt like I was there. And then lastly, I found myself flying over the coast of Costa Rica, an area that I had never been to before. And for some reason, I'm flying over the side of this mountain a bit away from this beach. And I saw it absolute detail. And then a few days after that, I was coincidentally, and coincidence happens a whole lot more once you start doing this work. Life becomes pretty darn magical. Coincidentally, I was invited to this property in Costa Rica, as I shared in the last video, and I found myself on this property that I had seen in a remote dream. I was literally there in real life, and it blew my mind. First time that had ever happened. And it's only happened for me a few times since, but it's something I want to learn more about. And imagine you can, again, with consent, go literally anywhere in the world and see stuff. Yeah, amazing opportunities there. Lucid living is what I call this experience that we have in life. Once we start doing a whole lot of this work, we start seeing our waking life through the eyes of a dream worker, as if you're processing your own dream. When you write down what happened in your dream every night, then you look at what happened, and then you look at it through the language of metaphor, because most of it is a symbolic representation of stuff that's going on in our subconscious or otherwise. And then we can connect symbols that happen in the dream to different things in our own consciousness, and we see a correlation there. Well, it turns out that in our waking life, it works exactly the same way. In fact, life is like a dream, like someone once said. To me, it is a dream. It's every bit as much real or unreal as the sleeping dream. And the fundamentals of how it operates is very much the same. How we're feeling on the inside is reflected on the outside, both in our waking dreams and in our dream time at sleep. So, for example, let's see, I had an experience where I was driving up a hill in this rental car in Costa Rica, and I was thinking about an opportunity that I had to work on this project with some people. And there were certain aspects to the project and in in general that I just wasn't quite sure about it, if I should do it or not. And I'm literally thinking about that as I'm going up the hill, and all of a sudden the car stops. The transmission failed. And I immediately thought, well, gosh, in my dream language, a vehicle means my forward momentum in life. I was just thinking about this particular opportunity, whether I should move forward with it or not. And all of a sudden, my SUV stops in its tracks. So I decided to not move forward with that project with these people. I actually asked for more confirmation in other dreams first. And I was able to weave and get confirmation through a series of dreams and experiences that happened both in my waking dream and my sleeping dream that guided me. And this is what I mean by living the life of our dreams. We can live this amazing, guided, mystical life when we connect with our dreams and truly know ourselves and follow the guidance of our soul and a deeply connected relationship with our intuition in the moments of the day. This practice goes way beyond just dreams. We cultivate an intimate relationship with our soul and the divine. While this work absolutely helps you manifest and experience an entirely different kind of life, to move beyond suffering into love and joy and ecstasy, what I am most excited about and grateful for, somehow magically I met this man who I worked with for 6 years to take me all the way through this practice, is one can attain and will attain a profound spiritual awakening and come to see all as imagination and start perceiving life from the point of view of awareness, identifying oneself as a, an aspect of consciousness as the eye of God. And to see all of reality with loving awareness from the point of view as awareness. And what I mean by that is, this point of view is it's not me objectifying everything, because from one point of view, nothing's even out there. It's all imagination. Quantum physics has proven that nothing is actually really there unless attention is directed towards it. So apparently we're dreaming this all up. Something is dreaming it all up. And to find our way to that, to surrender the ego, the idea that I'm dreaming it all up, even to move beyond that and see that there is something dreaming this all up. And in each moment, I am aware. I don't even have words to describe it, but that's as close as I can get to experience life as awareness and to move beyond objectification and an ego controlled life. All right. So that's about all I have to share with you in this particular video. Hopefully that helps you having a framework for different ways to look at the dreams. I encourage you to, again, keep your dream journal every day, as many days as you can, nights as you can, write down your dreams. The next video I'm going to share, I will talk about how to interpret your dreams and specifically a bit more into the symbolic kinds of dreams in particular. And as I mentioned before, it's really helpful to consider maybe 2 or 3 different perspectives when doing one's dream processing. Could be a direct guidance dream, and it may be a symbolic dream. Could even be both at the same time. So hopefully this helps you. I encourage you to watch all of these videos in this series. Reach out to me if you have any questions. I'll be happy to respond and help you. If you want to do a deeper dive into this work, you can contact me and we can talk about working together directly. I hope this helps you connect with a deeper part of yourself and to truly live and consciously create the life of your dreams. That's what I'm here for. That's what this is all about. So thank you again. Until next time, keep dreaming like your life depends on it, because it does.